Hello friends, welcome back to the lecture series on problematic soil and their management, and today we are going to discuss on various types of salt affected soils. And please watch this video till the end, because in the final part of this video I am going to give some recent data on the salt affected soil which are very much important for any competitive exam, ICAR level examination. So do not miss this video, watch till the end. So let's begin today's topic on salt affected soil and their classification. So first question, what are salt affected soils? Okay, from name itself we are understanding soils which have accumulation or which shows the accumulation of soluble salts. Okay, so salt affected soils are those soils which contain excessive amount of soluble salts, or it may contain exchangeable sodium in the exchangeable complex of the soil. So those soils are categorized as salt affected soil, and salt accumulation in such type of soil reduce the soil fertility and also the productivity of the soil. And you see, these soils are mainly found in arid and semi-arid climatic condition where evaporation is much higher than the precipitation. Now question is why? Because in arid and semi-arid climatic condition temperature is high, it causes much more of evaporation. So whatever the salt present in the water will evaporate, but salt cannot evaporate. Salt will be accumulated or deposited on the soil surface, and it will lead to the formation of the saline soil or salt affected soils. And what are the major soluble salt present in the salt affected soil? If I say in terms of cations, the dominating cations are sodium, calcium, magnesium and potassium. And anions, what are the dominant? Those are like chloride, sulfate, carbonate and bicarbonate. These are the dominant soluble anions present in the salt affected soil. So salt affected soils, these contain excessive amount of soluble salt and also the sodium. So it affects the crop growth and ultimately the productivity by degrading the soil health, and it also affects the water absorption by the crop plant. Now coming to the classification of the salt affected soils, basically these are categorized in three types. First one is the saline soil, second one is the sodic soil, or sometimes it is also known as alkali soil, and third one, that is the saline-sodic soil. Some people called it as the saline alkali soils. Now what is saline soil? So please remember, see what is saline soil. Saline soils is one kind of salt affected soils which have high concentration of soluble salt, and these three are the very important characteristic. You see, the electrical conductivity of the saturation extract of such soil is more than 4 decisiemens per meter. Most of the ICAR level exam or competitive exam, they ask what is the ECE of the saline soil. It is more than 4 decisiemens per meter. Exchangeable sodium percentage ESP is less than 15, and soil pH is usually less than 8.5 in case of saline soil, and in Indian condition the pH is less than 8.2. So please remember this. And you see, this is the picture of salt affected soil and where salts getting accumulated in the soil surface. Now coming to the characteristics of saline soils, what are the characters? It contains larger amount of soluble salt. In terms of cation, dominating cations are calcium and magnesium, and anions, dominating anions are chloride and sulfate. So please remember, this is also important. Second, due to higher concentration of salt, plant unable to absorb water, and this is called osmotic stress. Third one, soils generally have good structure. Why? Because the ESP, that is the exchangeable sodium percentage, is less than 15 in such type of soil. What is the meaning of this? Means the exchangeable portion of this soil is not dominated by the sodium. They contain mostly calcium and magnesium. If sodium dominating, sodium is a deflocculating agent, dispersing agent, they cause the destruction of the soil aggregate and there is a poor soil structure. But in case of saline soil, they do not have much more sodium in the exchangeable complex because ESP is less than 15. Apart from this soil contain dominating, in this soil dominating cations are calcium and magnesium. This calcium promotes good aggregation because this is a aggregating agent. It causes the aggregation or the flocculation of the soil particles. So it promotes soil aggregation, means better soil structure. That's why saline soil, among these all salt affected soils, or as compared to the sodic soil, saline soil has good soil structure. Then this soil also known as white alkali soil. Why? Because you see the picture here, salts accumulated or white crust of salts are deposited on the surface of the soil. That's why it looks white. You see, that's why it is known as white alkali soil also. Then coming to the second one, sodic soil. Okay, see what is sodic soil. These are also salt affected soil which contain appreciable amount of sodium in the exchange complex, and see ECE is less than 4. This is the contrast between saline and sodic soil. Exchangeable sodium percentage is more than 15. pH is again more than 8.5. In Indian condition more than 8.2, or range is 8.5 to 10. Indian condition also 8.2 to 10. So this is the picture. See the alkali soil or sodic soil, how it looks like. Then why is the pH is high? So question is why pH is high. See, because this soil mostly contain calcium carbonate. Due to hydrolysis of calcium carbonate, it produce calcium hydroxide, and this generate hydroxyl ion. Obviously hydroxyl ion, these will increase the soil pH, and again sodium is there. Sodium also increase the pH of the soil. Then why it is called black alkali soil? This is a very important question in your ICAR examination, because excessive sodium increase soil pH, hydroxyl ion increase soil pH, and due to higher pH it dissolves the organic matter present in the soil, and when organic matter will be dissolved, it imparts the black color to the soil. You see the color of the soil is black. That's why it is known as black alkali soil. This is very important question. Then coming to the saline-sodic soil. Okay, so from name itself we understanding it has both character of saline soil also, sodic soil also, means it contain appreciable amount of soluble salt as well as appreciable amount of exchangeable sodium in the exchange complex. That type of soil is saline-sodic soil. It has the EC, electrical conductivity, more than 4 decimals per meter, character of saline soil. It has ESP more than 15, character of sodic soil, and pH is variable. When sometime it is less than 8.5, sometime it is more than 8.5. So variable pH. Why? See this first, see the picture. Okay, then you see why the pH is variable. When soluble salts dominate, means when chloride and sulfate salts of sodium, sulfate salt or chloride salt of calcium, magnesium, they dominate. At that time soil pH is less than 8.5. And when the exchangeable complex is dominating by sodium, and also the anions like carbonates and bicarbonates, they dominate, obviously the pH will be more than 8.5. Then I am going to characterizing the salt affected soils in 3 categories in a table form. This table is most important. If you understand, then whole soil, salt affected soil, you can easily summarize, you can easily remember all this. This is very important. You see pH less than 8.5, again alkali and saline soil it is more than 8.5. EC, only EC in saline soil it is more than 4 decisiemens per meter, but for alkali and again saline alkali soil it is more than 4. Okay, but it is less than 4 for alkali soil. Most of the ICAR level examination they ask this EC of saline soil. Okay, so this is contrast between saline and alkali soil. Salt concentration again high. These 2 points are high. EC and salt concentration are higher in saline soil as compared to the alkali soil. ESP, SAR, these are less than. pH, ESP, SAR. pH is less than 8.5, ESP less than 15, SAR less than 13 for saline soil. This will be higher in alkali soil. And in saline alkali soil all will be higher. pH will be greater than 8.5, EC more than 4. So all these parameters will be greater than. So you need to remember these 2, which is higher and which is lower. And here in saline alkali soil all will be higher. And dominating cation, already I discussed calcium, magnesium, potassium. Here dominating cation is sodium, here all. Then dominating anions, chloride, sulfate, some cases nitrate. Here carbonate and bicarbonate. So these questions may come in your JRF examination. And all anions are dominating in saline alkali soil. Soil structure, I already told, flocculated means good soil structure, aggregated soil structure in saline soil. Alkali soil deflocculated, means poor soil structure. This is flocculated. Infiltration will be good if soil structure is good, so infiltration will be good, drainage will be good. So but it will be poor for alkali soil. Again, it is good due to the saline soil character in this soil. Nomenclature, this is again important. Saline soil, a Russian term of soil, saline soil, or the another name of saline soil is Solonchak. and another name of alkali soil in Russian term, that is Solonage. These two again important. Then it is coming to sources of soluble soil, how salt affected soil form and from where the soluble salt comes. See, first one is the weathering of primary mineral. When there is an weathering of rocks and primary minerals, they release appreciable amount of soluble salts in the soil, like calcium, magnesium, sodium, chloride, sulfate into the soil, and it causes the formation of salt affected soil. Second one is the arid and semi-arid climatic condition. Already I told that is a high temperature, low rainfall. High temperature promote evaporation, water will evaporate, salt will be deposited. And again, rain is scarce, matlab rainfall amount is not that much to leach down the soluble salt, because rainfall is very little in semi-arid climatic, arid and semi-arid climatic condition. Number third, saline groundwater. If there is a saline groundwater, it will come through the capillary action and it will deposit it on the soil surface. If temperature is high, water will evaporate, salt will be deposited. Then coming to seawater intrusion in the coastal area, low-lying area, salty seawater, when it will get introduced into the low-lying areas, again there is a chance of formation of saline soil. Then it will poor irrigation management. If you do not follow appropriate management practices or appropriate drainage, so if you give irrigation, faulty irrigation practices, it will promote the rising of the water table and it will cause the salinity due to higher evaporation. Wind blown salt. Wind carries the salt particle from the sea line area or seashore area to the another portion of the area. So, okay. Then last one is the excessive use of basic fertilizer. If you use excessive amount of basic fertilizer like sodium nitrate, calcium nitrate, so they may promote, there is a chance to increase the pH of the soil. So these all are the reasons. Then I am now coming to the end of our video. So now tips for your competitive examination. See, tips of ARS examination. All these points I have discussed, but if this question come, what are the factors responsible for salt affected soil formation? You do not have much more time, because you have to write 300 marks question in 3 hours you need to write. But generally we are habituated to write 100 marks in 3 hours. But in ARS examination you have to write 300 marks. How is it possible? You have to write in this way. Weathering, this is one factor or source, and how it causes, it release soluble salt, so it causes salinity. Then coming to the dry climate, it causes higher evaporation, arid and semi-arid climatic condition, higher evaporation, so salt accumulation will be there. Salty groundwater, due to capillary rise of the salty groundwater, it will deposit again the salt on the surface. Seawater, intrusion of the salty seawater promote salinity in the low-lying areas. Irrigation, faulty irrigation practices without appropriate drainage causes the salinity due to high increase of the water table. Wind carries the salt particle from one place to another place, and basic fertilizer, if you add basic fertilizer, there is a chance of increasing the soil salinity. So in this way if you rise, so there will be, you are giving maximum information with little time. So it is a one way to manage your time. Then you see, this is a recent data, state-wise highest saline soil area. Often any exam they can ask you, in India which state has highest saline area. So you see, Gujarat, I have given the top 5 state. It is a recent data, okay, I have taken. So this is the million hectare, 1680.6 million hectare area. So Gujarat, West Bengal, Rajasthan and Maharashtra, Odisha, these are top 5 states who is having the higher saline soil area. So Gujarat has the highest saline soil area. So please remember, if this question comes, which state has the maximum area under saline soil? So Gujarat state has the highest area under saline soil. Then this is taken from the paper Bharma and his co-worker in 2024. So this is a very recent estimate, remember, for JRF. And which state has the highest sodic soil area? Okay, see the Uttar Pradesh, that has the highest area under sodic soil. Okay, so these are some another information. These are the global scenario of salt affected soil. So salinity stress, a major constraint in crop production, responsible for 20 to 50% reduction in the crop yield, and globally 810 810 million hectare land is affected by salt affected problem, including sodic soil is 434 million hectare and saline soil, slightly mistake, it is going to the upper portion. Saline soil is 376 million hectare, this is the globally, and it I have taken from Sahab et al 2021. And saline soil generally lack well developed B horizon. So apart, if this question may come, saline soil or alkali soil, which soil has no B horizon? So saline soil do not possess that lack of well developed B horizon. B horizon is absent in saline soil. Again, organic matter content is very low in salt affected soil, that is less than 1% of the total soil weight. Okay, this is taken from Verma et al 2024. And Indian scenario, what is in India 6.74 million hectare, these lands are affected by the salt. Among these, sodic soil is 3.78 million hectare and saline soil is 2.96 million hectare. These two data are very important in your ICAR level examination. The area under salinity and alkalinity problem will increase, that is 11.7 million. They have taken that in 2025. This already have gone through, but it is in paper they have mentioned this. So I want to conclude my lecture by one quote, that salt affected soils are not barren, but by nature with proper management they can become productive again. So we can cultivate our soil, we can utilize our saline soil with proper management. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.